Never trust Russia again. Never. That's the topic of today's podcast. Hello, I'm David Debato, and this is the No Delusion Zone. Why am I saying that? Because, well, over the last month, but certainly over the last 24 hours or so, Russia, under that murderer, Vladimir Putin, has unleashed holy hell on Ukraine. Just yesterday, Russian ballistic missiles killed at least 21 people in the eastern Ukrainian city of Sumy along the Russian border, many of them children. I'm going to get right to the reporting because it's pretty gruesome and I think it makes my point. I'm going to put this up on the screen. This reporting comes from the New York Times. And the title of the article is Russian Missile Strikes in Sumy Kill at least 32, Ukrainian officials say. I stand corrected. I said 21 because when I first read this story, that's where the count was, the fatality count. It's up to at least 32. The subtitle is The Strikes were the latest in a string of attacks on urban centers that have caused heavy civilian casualties, even as the Trump administration pushes for a ceasefire. Those scumbags, those heartless fucking Russian military members who launched this attack, those who ordered the attack, may they burn in hell. Never forgive Russia. Putin, that goes without expression, without saying. But never trust Russia again. Never forgive them. Never forgive them for these atrocities. And this article continues. Russian ballistic missiles killed at least 32 people, including 2 children, on Sunday in the northeastern Ukrainian city of Sumy, officials said, the latest in a string of attacks on urban centers that have caused heavy civilian casualties despite the Trump administration's push for a ceasefire. 2 missiles hit the city center at about 10:15 a.m., according to the regional prosecutor's office. Ukraine's interior minister, Ihor Klimenko, said the ballistic missiles struck when the streets were crowded with civilians out enjoying Palm Sunday, a Christian celebration popular in Ukraine. At least 83 people were injured, Mr. Klimenko added. In quotes, he said, people were harmed right in the middle of the street, in cars, on public transport, in their homes, Mr. Klimenko said on social media. President Volodymyr Zonesky of Ukraine posted a video on social media that he said showed the aftermath of the attack in Sumy, only 18 miles from the Russian border. The video showed cars smashed and burned, as well as bloodied bodies laying motionless on the streets. Firefighters and civilians tended to the wounded as screams echoed in the background. And the article continues. A strong reaction from the world is needed, from the United States, from Europe, from everyone in the world who wants this war and the killings to end, Mr. Zelensky said in a message posted on Telegram. Russia seeks exactly this kind of terror and is dragging out the war. The strikes came just over a week after a Russian missile hit near a playground in the central city of Kryvyi Rih, killing 19 people, including 9 children. In that attack, and in the one on Sunday, according to Ukrainian officials, Russia used ballistic missiles which travel at high speeds, making them very difficult to shoot down. The 2 strikes were some of the deadliest in Ukraine this year and come amid an overall increase in civilian deaths since ceasefire talks began in March. The United Nations said last week that 164 civilians were killed in Ukraine last month, a 50% increase from February and a 70% more than the same period a year earlier. And mind you, again, this is taking place while the United States, under Donald Trump dithers and stretches out so-called peace negotiations. He keeps saying that Mr. Putin wants peace in Ukraine. Murderer, scumbag. And I'm going to conclude this podcast with one more piece. This one was published by the Moscow Times, and I'll get right to it. The title of this article is Trump Envoy Suggests Allied Zone of Control in Ukraine. Keith Kellogg, U.S. President Donald Trump's special envoy in Ukraine, suggested British and French troops could adopt zones of control in the country in an interview with the Times newspaper published on Saturday. Kellogg suggested that they could have areas of responsibility west of the Dnipro River as part of a reassurance force with a demilitarized zone separating them from Russian-occupied areas in the east. You could almost make it look like what happened with Berlin after World War II, when you had a Russian zone, a French zone, and a British zone, a U.S. zone, he said, later clarifying on X that the United States would not be providing troops. You're west of the Dnipro, which is a major obstacle, Kellogg said, adding that the force would therefore not be provocative at all to Russia. He suggested that a demilitarized zone could be implemented along the existing lines of control in eastern Ukraine, the Times said. That's the Times of London. A retired lieutenant general and former acting national security advisor during Trump's first term, Kellogg, 80, said Ukraine was big enough to accommodate several armies seeking to enforce a ceasefire. This man is a scumbag. This man is a moron. He's a traitor. He's betrayed his oath. He certainly betrayed Ukraine. To suggest that Russia be rewarded with staying in the occupied eastern part of Ukraine, that they violated, that they attacked, and in which they have brutally murdered many, many thousands of Ukrainian men, women, and many, many children. To suggest that it be made into a demilitarized zone similar to what happened in Berlin after World War II? Fuck you, General Kellogg. I can't think of you any lower. I'm sorry. I'm not even going to get into it anymore. It's disgusting. And that's all I have to say in this podcast. When again, I think that some of these dipshits in the Trump administration could not sink any lower, in my opinion. They sink lower, in my opinion. That's it. I'm going to be back with another podcast soon because obviously there's a lot constantly going on. Until then, would you please hit the subscribe button? We need all the help you can give us on this channel. Tell others to watch the No Delusion Zone. Hit the subscribe button. Go to buymeacoffee.com and buy me a coffee. Become a monthly supporter, a member on buymeacoffee.com on the No Delusion page. Until next time, you all take care, stay safe, and stay sane.